All right, we've had a lot of requests to calibrate a 1250 wheel balancer. And this is something the customer can do in his shop. You don't really need to have a coach tech come in and do it. But you don't need to do it a whole bunch. People ask me, how often should I calibrate my balancers? I have people calibrate balancers every morning. That's the worst thing you can do. Don't calibrate them. And only if they're chasing weights. That's when you have trouble getting it to zeros. You should go to zeros once you put your weights on, one spin. After that, it should be zeros. Sometimes you may have to put a quarter on or a half. A lot of guys don't put the weight at 12 o'clock. They put the weight at 5 to or 5 after. I used to do that. That'll bring up a quarter. That'll bring up a half. Not placing the weight at 12 o'clock. So don't be calibrating it every day. Only if it's chasing weights after 2 or 3 spins and you still don't have the zeros, you definitely could be out of calibration. Also, you may have fix-a-flat or water or something rolling around in the tire. Maybe balancing beads. If you didn't mount the tire and someone said they wanted you to balance it and you can't get the zeros, it could be that there's something inside of the tire rolling around. Okay.
How often should a coach balancer need to be calibrated?
Long as it's, I've seen them go years without calibration and they're perfect. And I've seen them being shipped into the customer from the factory. I've seen the boxes busted up, the hoods were busted, the trucking company damaged them, and I hooked them up and they were perfectly calibrated from the factory. Okay, so at the factory they actually have a big marble slab. They put the balancer on that, test it and calibrate it there. Ship it out, it's still in calibration. Most of the time the balancer is going to be calibrated only if it's chasing weights, and a lot of times it's chasing weights due to the way it's mounted. And I've seen a lot of guys having trouble mounting wheels and tires because they're so crazy nowadays. And you may just need to invest in some adapters. So always check with your coach guy to see what's available, what you might need. Today we have a 1250. Customer said, I want my 1250 redone, so we brought it to the shop. We went all over it for him. We're ready to deliver it out back to our customer, and we decided to do a video before we took it out because people were requesting how to calibrate a 1250. So we have our balancer turned on, ready to go, and we have a steel wheel. I recommend a 16-inch steel wheel. Do not use a 14 because the only reason is there's no more 14s out there, or there hardly is any. You ought to use something large, like a 16-inch steel wheel, so you can put the weights on and off. Something with a small hole. You don't want a big hole. You don't want to have to use a truck cone. You want to use a smaller cone, like this cone here, that has a slight increase on it. Okay, it's easier to mount it the same way over and over again. This tire might not look real pretty, okay, this wheel, but it is balanced. I can put this wheel on any balancer out in the field and it will come up zeros. It will not show any weight readings. As long as my 4-ounce calibration weight, this weight is provided by Coates. You can get them from your Coates service tech. This is especially for calibrating, although any 4-ounce weight will work. It's best to use one weight. Don't try to take 2 weights, 2 2s or 1 and a 3 and try to put them together. Get one 4-ounce weight. Okay, so we're going to mount this on here. As always, we mentioned before, make sure the back of the wheel is clean. If not, wire wheel it. Don't want any corrosion on there. Make sure the face plate here is clean. On this mounting, I'm going to come from the outside. Okay, so we're going to mount from the outside in with this cone here, which does go real good. We got a quick nut here. We dial it on, click the lever, lock it down. Do not hit this with a hammer, whatever you do. This gets balanced every time a tire gets balanced. So we got to put our numbers in. Okay, so we got our tire mounted on our balancer. And what we need to do is put our numbers in because we are going to check the balancing first. On the 1250, you can hold this here, let it beep. As long as I'm not moving, I'm fine. When I quit moving, I go home, put it back in place, and it's asking me for the width. I'm going to put the width in. I know what the width is already. I don't need to measure my wheel. I use this wheel all day long, every day. So we got our numbers in, and actually we're assuming that you have a 1250, and this is a machine you use every day, so you know how to use it. Our wheel comes up, zeros. Okay, my wheel is balanced. I do have 0.21 in there. I like to check that by hitting shift and hitting the number 6. I've got 12 and 10. There's not much I can do about that. If I wanted to put like modeling clay or Play-Doh or something like that on there, I can get that down to complete zeros, but we don't need to. We're below a quarter on each one. A quarter ounce here or there will not help. So we're going to shut that shift off there. So our tire is 0. That's what we want. We want zeros. And so I'm going to take my tire now, and this is the way I do it. This is what separates me from a lot of people. They don't do this step that I'm doing right now. What I'm doing is putting my valve stem at 12 o'clock. And I come back here and I look and I see where 12 o'clock is. On the 1250, there is no laser light to tell you 12, so I just eye it up. Okay? Once I eye it up, I have to turn the balancer off and back on again. So the balancer will know that that valve stem was 12. It'll set it when it comes on at 12 o'clock. So I'm going to do that right now. Turn it off here like this. Wait a couple seconds on this 1250 that's not inverted. You can turn it right back on, let it boot up, which it does real quick. And we have our cal machine, shift number 1. That's normally how you do it, but I do shift 2. This is an extra step. I like to do this. This is supposed to be only when you replace the main board in the balancer, but I do it because I like to do it that way. I hit shift, hold it down, hit number 2. It says enter the wheel, calibration wheel diameter. I am using a 17-inch wheel, believe it or not. I like my 17-inch wheel. So we have the diameter in. It says cal, we shut the hood. It's not going to go until we push the start button. You'll see it spin up. It's a slow speed. Then it goes a second time, which is a high speed. The balancer actually has 2 speeds. Once it does that, we open it up and it says put the cal weight at 12 o'clock. Where am I going to put the weight? On the outside, just like it tells me to, at 12 o'clock. And I'm doing it. I don't know if you can see it. You probably don't need to see it. But guess what? There's my valve stem at 12 o'clock because we turned the balancer off and back on again. Now I'm going to shut the hood, hit the start button. It'll go through the slow speed and the high speed. Then it brakes. And we raise the hood. We're going to transfer the weight from the outside to the inside. So we take it off here where it is. And I don't really do a real good job because why? Because my wheel is marked. Since I do this every day, all day long, I have a mark right opposite of my valve stem, okay? And that makes so I don't have to guess. I'm not going to be off. I'm not going to come and I see a lot of guys will go like this here, and they'll try to use their fingers to try to figure out where the back is. So I know where it's at. It's on that white mark. It's exactly behind the valve stem. Hit the start button. It'll go through the 2 speeds. Once it brakes, it's going to tell me to align this weight with the laser guided weight placement, the 5 o'clock, I call it laser. So you can see my weight, okay? On this wheel, I can also, if I wanted to, put it behind the valve stem. You see the little red dot on the valve stem? Since the valve stem and the white line are identically in place, I put it like the balancer told me to, and I come up here and I hit next. Calibration is completed without errors and stored. Press next. Okay. Before you do anything, don't do anything until you go and hit shift and 3. This is where a lot of my customers drop the ball. They'll do that calibration and they say the balancer's calibrated, but they fail to calibrate the arm. The arm should be calibrated right after the regular wheel calibration. Okay, so we hit the shift 3 like this, and now it says move arm to tip of faceplate and hold it and press next. So we're going to move our arm out and we're going to put it flush with the faceplate. Now I have a 17-inch wheel, so there's plenty of room to do that. I'm holding the arm with my right hand so it doesn't come back in. I've already got it. I know where it's out there level with the faceplate. And I look down at the number and I see what the number is. It's 8-4. Maybe it's a little hard to see. So I'm going to come up here, hit next. Enter the offset from the scale is 8-4. Hit next. Move arm home, hold, press next. Place arm on the rim. My rim has a real nice round part, but I kind of know where it sits, so that's about right there. You'll get good at it once you practice it some. And it's going to enter in the diameter. The diameter on my wheel is 170. And then press next. And then we put the offset from the scale, which is 3-3. And come up here, 3-3. Hit next. Arm cal is complete. Now, that is how you calibrate a 1250 wheel balancer. Okay, but did we do a good job? Here's the proof. We close the hood. We don't really have to do anything. The numbers are all in there for us. Okay, it's telling me 4 ounces on the inside, 0 on the outside. What I want to look for is when that's blinking, it's telling me to put 4 ounces on. My 4 ounce weight's going to be where? Here? No. 6 o'clock. It's exactly 6 o'clock. Perfect. Because if it tells you 4 ounces and zeros and you think I did a good job, but your weight is over here, you messed up. You did something wrong, because the weight has to be at 6 o'clock, telling you, the machine's telling you to put a weight here. If I put a 4 ounce weight here, I'm going to erase that 4 ounce down there. So there's also another step you can do if you want. That would be, take this weight, put it back on the outside, out here, and close the hood. And what's it going to be? 4 and zeros. Okay? Actually, it could have been 375 or 4 1/4, and that would have been acceptable, because we read in quarter ounce increments. See, what's really in there is 4.07, which is that's a very good balance right there. If it's too high, it's going to add to it or subtract from it. So the 950, the 1050, 1055s, 1025s, they are very simple and easy to calibrate. These are a little harder and a little more in depth, more to it. And if you miss any step or you do something wrong, you can calibrate it wrong. Calibrating it wrong will make you chase weights, and it won't work right. So I hope we helped, and we'll see you on the next video.